So 25 years ago, right now, I was pregnant with my first child. I was scared to death. At that time, before that child was born, I had a dog named Bailey. You could say that she was truly my first child. She was a gorgeous chocolate Labrador retriever. I got her as an 8-week-old puppy. And Bailey for me was that dog. You know, the one that I wanted to get a house for because I wanted a backyard for her. Many people said that I got the house because I wanted the dog. They weren't wrong. She got a whole room in the house for her crate and her toys and her bedding. I took her to the pond almost every night so she could fetch sticks in the water because it made her so darn happy. I came home at lunchtime from my work to take her for a walk and check on her. She went with me on car rides, even if I was just running to the bank. Yeah, that was a thing that we did back then. She was definitely my first, and at the time, only child. So fast forward a little bit, Bailey is maybe 4 and I'm pregnant, like with a human child. Actually, I was really pregnant, like 7.5 and 8 months pregnant. It was a Saturday and I was going into work to catch up on some things. And I brought Bailey with me because after all, it was Saturday, they would never know. We were in the car and I was on the exit ramp, and it was one of those, you get off and then it goes in a tight circle and comes around, the ones that you have to slow down for. And I was turning and Bailey somehow slipped and stepped on the automatic window opener in the back seat. She lost her balance and she flew out the back seat window into that big open area in the middle of the off ramp. Not onto the highway, but dangerously close to it. So you all, I stopped my car in the middle of the exit ramp. I ran out of the car crying and yelling for her. So I want you to picture this huge waddling pregnant lady crying and screaming for a dog that was scared out of her mind, running around in the grassy area in the middle of the exit ramp. It was a sight to see. So Bailey ended up being fine, and I'm eternally grateful for the woman who pulled up behind me and who happened to have dog treats in her car, and the screaming pregnant lady in the middle of the road didn't seem to bother her that much. Y'all, I was a mess. How could I possibly keep a human child alive when I couldn't even manage to keep my dog safely in the car? For me, pregnancy was the epitome of being in liminal space. Liminal space is that space in between two things, and it can be very disoriented. I was no longer just a dog's mom, but I wasn't yet a human's mom. I was, but in a really like you're inside of me and I don't really know what this is kind of way. I was in this scary in between not knowing space. Although people had gone through this for thousands of years, I hadn't. I had no idea what was coming. All that I knew was that my past life had changed and that my upcoming life would be different. So many aspects of my life were in transition, and I didn't know how it would work out. So I want you to think, what have your liminal spaces been? Maybe a time when you're done with one job, but you haven't quite started a new one? A time when you're in between relationships or building a new relationship with yourself? A time when you have left one religion and are wandering looking for meaning. I'll tell you another liminal time for me. Last year at this time, I said yes to being your minister. And then I said, I'll see you in 3 months. We had said hello, but it wasn't a full hello yet. I still had to go back and pack, and we had to sell our house and get our current animal menagerie out here to Phoenix. We were totally in the in-between. And I know that the congregation was too. Liminality can be used in regards of time, of people, religion, myth-telling. Next week, we have some wonderful folks who will be talking to us about thresholds in their lives, liminal spaces of transitions. Sometimes people talk about liminal space to describe political and cultural change. During liminal times, traditions and rituals may change or become uncertain, and future outcomes, once taken for granted, may be thrown into doubt. Does that sound familiar? Do you know of any cultures that may be in liminal space right now? Yeah, I think that's all of us right now. I had someone ask me this week that we need to determine whether this pandemic is a blizzard, winter, or an ice age. So let's think about that. A blizzard, it's a very intense storm, zero visibility, and we need to take shelter immediately. It's very disorienting, but a blizzard usually only lasts for a few days, relatively short time. So winter, you can go out, but not for long. The conditions are difficult and we need to both prepare and settle in. Winter, at least up north, I know it's a metaphor for us here, can feel like it's a long time, but we know that spring will eventually come in a few months. Or is this an ice age? Something that will essentially change the face of the earth, dramatically change how species relate to each other, and, at least in the last one, was the demise of some forms of life. What are we in? A blizzard? Winter, or an ice age? At the beginning, I really hoped it was a blizzard, but I quickly wrapped my head around it being winter. That middle week of March, oh, it definitely felt like a blizzard, but now I realize it was just the onset of winter. But I wonder, are we at the beginning of an ice age? If we could be magically transported back to the ice age, would we be able to name it as such? Or would we just have felt like it was an unusually cold and long winter? And that's the thing, we don't know. We will only know when we're on the other side of it all and can look back with some clarity. And we can try to fight that. We can try to predict it and prognosticate it. We can cite our statistics and we can make our informed predictions. But that's all they are at this point, is predictions. Or we can accept that we don't know right now, and we can enter into that liminal space fully informed. I'm not asking you to like being in the in-between, but I can encourage you not to fight it. Believe me, fighting it is exhausting. In religion, liminal space has a central focus in many religions. It's actually a desired place in many religious contexts. In meditation, we strive to be in liminal space, of being in the world, but not totally in it, to be letting go. Moments of ecstasy may be liminal space, that of hearing a great piece of music in a live setting, or having a rousing surge of energy. But liminal space can also be the space of intense grief, of being so overwhelmed by it, and that place and time cease to exist. Earth-based traditions revere liminal spaces. They can be sunsets or sunrises, creating that space in between night and day, or the equinoxes as we transition from winter to summer and back again. Eckhart Tolle created a whole movement around liminal space that wasn't new to him, but of being in the now, not being in the past as it was done, and not being too much in the future that hasn't come yet. Actually, I think that's good learning to lean on. We know that the past is gone, As my kids say when I pull out all my great dance moves, Mom, we can't unsee that. Yeah, we can't unsee Corona. Even when I see commercials of groups of people gathering in small spaces, I cringe now. I see the air as a fantastical medium of germ-carrying molecules. I'm spending so much energy just thinking about the process of getting groceries. Things we once took for granted are now thrown into doubt. Our oblivious past is gone. And the future, who knows? We may as well ask a magic 8-ball. That reference will only be known for certain generations. How long will this last? What impact? What changes? What systems will be changed? What new world orders? How will we personally be changed? I am in liminal space right now as much as I was when I was waiting for my child to arrive. I could not have known then what motherhood would entail with him. Laughter like I've never experienced before, heartbreak like I couldn't imagine, learning more about myself than I ever would think possible. In some ways, I am really glad I didn't know. If a dog falling out of a car scared me so much, imagine what the reality of motherhood would have done to me. We are now in liminal space. We can fight it or we can embrace it. We can dwell on the past and worry about the future, or we can be in the right now. We can rationalize it or we can see it as a spiritual exercise of being in the in-between. I am not saying this will be easy, my beloveds, but I'm going to try to embrace the liminal space. And I'm going to watch how I can be transformed by it. I hope you will join me. So might it be.